How to stop chasing success and start engineering it. Most people chase success like it's running away from them. They wake up every day sprinting, chasing deal, chasing money, chasing the next big things, right? But real success isn't chased, it's engineered. Because if you're constantly chasing, that means you don't understand the system behind what you want, the driver in creating actual success. And in business, a system always beat effort. Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna show you how exactly you can start engineering a system to create success instead of chasing it, okay? Step one, the law of predictable input. So think about this. When you are doing something, you always have an input and an output. So it's the same for business. When you send an outreach, you get a reply. That's an input and output. Success is never random. The result is always based on predictable input. So if you are, for example, a agency for you know that if you're sending 100 messages, you get about 10 conversation, and then about two of those conversation, you get about 10 of those conversation, you get about two to three appointment. And then from those 2 to 3 appointment, you potentially get about 1 to 2 closed deal. That is what I mean by the law of predictable input. Okay. You don't need motivation anymore. Once you have learned that everything is predictable, you don't need, oh, I need to be motivated to do this anymore. You just need to run the system. Once you have understand the input and understand what output come out of it, motivation is just an extra given. Okay? So understand this and you'll start tracking and learning every single small input that you put into your business. So something that I do is I track every single replied and I track every single time that I send out a message. That helped me to say, oh, this have booked me these appointment. Okay, these appointment. What's the context behind these appointment? Oh, it's because I said this to them, I do this, I do this, I do this. Okay, how would I approach it so that my closing will have a better chance? Because I understand what input I've put in and what output it has given me, I can then predict what input I can put in more to create that same output. Does that make sense? So once you have stopped guessing what is wrong and what is right, you'll start driving result. Okay, that's how you start doing. Step two, emotion is just an enemy of execution. Okay, chasing success is very emotional. You are attached to this one abstract idea that you are gonna be successful one day. That's It's a dream. That's not a goal. That's a dream. Oh, I'm gonna be successful one day. That's a dream. And behind every dream, there's a very powerful emotion that drive it. And when you're closing deal, it affect you a lot because every single time you fail to close a client, you start to doubt that dream and you start to imbue a bunch of emotion behind it, and that create friction. You're gonna start thinking, maybe this isn't really it. Maybe the business is not working. Oh, maybe it's time for me to quit because you are just driving things with emotion. When you are a machine, when you are a business machine, you don't operate that way. You don't care if it's a Monday or Friday or if you are closing deal or not. The way that machine works is that, oh, I didn't close this deal today. Why? What input have I put in that didn't yield me the output that I want? You're gonna start thinking that way because once you have start putting an emotion into a closed deal, you're gonna start trying to beg for it. You're trying to beg for a client that close, and it's really not a good look. It's really isn't a good look. So the way you should start approaching this is measure every success as well as failure as input and output. So you think, oh, why did I fail today? How will I actually improve? And that's how you need to think. Just don't think from emotion. Detach your emotion from execution. Okay? Because once you get emotional about something, you start losing the logical aspect of the whole system and whole. So that's step two. Step three is build a system that rewards consistency, not hustle. Okay. So most people build a system out around grind. They build a system where, oh, if I put in the 16-hour a day or I put in 24-hour a day, I will make my business the most successful. But the thing is, if you build your business that way, you are building a job. It's fine if you start out that way, it's completely fine. But your goal should never be moving toward of, oh, I need to put in more hour for my business success. Your system should be built around consistency. Because once you have built your system around hustle, you'll burn out very, very, very quick. But consistency compound. If you create something that's consistent, it will compound every single day until you are at a point where you're just a moving train that can't be stopped. That's the analogy I think of. Just the train with consistency move very, very slow at the start, which is, and then once they have pick up the speed, no one can stop it. Instead of think of like, oh, a hustle system, think of like a race bike or something. It can go really, really fast and very, very quick for a short period of time, but it will be handicapped by the fuel, it will be handicapped by the driver, it will be handicapped by a lot of things. So here's how you build a system that reward consistency. First thing I would do is automate the first 80% of your work, your outreach, your follow-up, and your appointment setting. And from there, you only need to focus on 20% that actually move the money. Negotiating, creating your system, closing client, those are the one that you need to be putting in the work for to actually bring out result. So that's the 80-20 rule. Automate the 80% that's taking up all of your time, but not bring in most result, but actually do the 20% that bring in the 80% result. Okay, so that's how you engineer your business so you don't get burnt out. Step four. This is kind of like step two, but step four is a bit, it's more separate your output from your identity. So this is super, super dangerous when people start to get into the business territory. They start to think that they are what the result they get. And people start to lose a sense of identity because they link it so much with their achievement. So they think, hmm, if I if I fail to close a lead, they start to think that, oh, they're a failure, they're trash, and all of that stuff. And as the more failed prospect they go through, their confidence lose and lose and lose and lose. But guess what? That negatively affect the closing rate as well, because you don't have that confidence going to that sale. So you're just fighting an uphill battle at that point. And you might think, oh, wouldn't it be great if I gain a lot of confidence from closing deal? And because I know to close deal, shouldn't be confident in it. The way that I think of it is that there is a certain threshold. Every single time you close a client, you'll naturally get a bit more confident because you're comfortable in that environment. But if you start identifying with your success, then you're gonna get egotistical. Being comfortable and being egotistical are two different things. Or being confident and being egotistical are two different things. Because confidence is when you are in a situation where you don't care about the input or the output, but you still just thrive in it because you're comfortable. Being egotistical is thinking that you are the best in the world and you just have everything that you want, and you deserve everything because you have done this, blah 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 blah, you've achieved this. You start thinking, oh, success should be deserved to you instead of something that is work hard for. So that's the difference between the two. So you are not the result. You are essentially the engineer behind it. You are this master behind the shadow. Think of just think of it that way. Because if something doesn't work, you don't panic, you don't quit. Because the system doesn't is not you. You are not the system and the system is not you. So if something doesn't work out, you can look at it from a third person perspective and adjust it, okay? And the smartest people in business don't take failure personally. They take it technically. They look at what variable broke, they fix it, they rerun the code. And that's how you go from a reactive entrepreneur into a strategic entrepreneur. So lastly, step five. I always add this in every single step, in every single video about improving your business. Measure, refine, and repeat. Your life and your business are a series of system, okay? The faster you measure the input and refine the output, the faster that you'll grow. If something works, and if it's something that you can automate it. If something fail, test it again. If something feel chaotic, okay, write it down, think what's wrong, think about the variable, and slowly you turn the chaos your business into control. And that's how you stop chasing success and start actually engineering. And the whole point of this is that you don't stay stagnant. Because if you are imbuing your whole business with a emotional mindset, you are just gonna stay you're just gonna stay the same. You're gonna just think, oh, if I just keep putting in the same result, it will change eventually because you're hoping for that dream to come true. But now that you are measuring everything and you're upgrading everything based on the fixes, the variables, the changes, your business will effectively grow. And this is the point of this. Stagnation is the death of us all. So don't fear change and just keep it going, all right? So that's pretty much the end of this video. And if you are a agency or a business broker tired of chasing business owner or business owner that actually want to sell, and I'll show you how to get a system through my course, auto seller generation course below, that teaches you how to automate your entire lead flow so that your outreach will go from book appointment to actually close seller. So if your business is something like this, if you are targeting something like this, check it out. Other than that, later.